Hey everybody, JJ here. Welcome back for another Saturday of Zoom networking. Really glad you could be with us. Today we've got a phenomenal speaker. I think most of you know him, or if you don't, you should know this guy. Mr. Bob McIntosh, absolute genius about internet marketing, computers, the internet, social networking, the whole thing. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thanks for having me here.
Hey man, it's an absolute pleasure. Always good to see you. Always good to have you here. And I'm really, really excited about the gold nuggets you're going to drop today. So with that, take it away.
Welcome to JJ's call. I'm excited to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bob McIntosh. Today's call is about how do we dominate local SEO. And before we dive into the details of all of that, a couple of things that are going to be important. Whether you're brand new to real estate or you are an experienced investor who's done hundreds of deals, either way, you're in the right place. And I want to take a second to congratulate you for being here. The fact that you spent some time on a Saturday to come on this train, the fact that you care enough to spend this time with me, and the fact that you're watching this Zoom right now shows me that you have a sincere and honest desire to grow your business. And if that's the case, then you're in the right place because we're going to help you do that. Now, SEO, for those of you who don't know, stands for search engine optimization. So in other words, how do we actually rank on Google for the right things? Now, today is not about how do we get our website to rank, but how do we actually get our local presence to rank? And there's a very big difference between those two things. We'll cover that as we go through here. Now, I know you're probably going to have questions, and if you do, totally great. In the chat box right here, just drop those questions as they come in. What we're going to do is, if I feel like I can answer it easily in the flow of the presentation, or I know I'm already going to cover it, we'll do that. If not, we'll swing back through at the end and make sure we answer all of those questions, because I want to make sure that you guys understand how to do this, because understanding this is going to be a game changer in 2022. One of the exciting reasons that I'm glad that we're doing this right now as we come up into the last few weeks of 2021 is local SEO is an untapped market for real estate investors. In fact, for most businesses, the local SEO part is not something that a lot of folks focus on. And even for those who are focused on doing it, who maybe have hundreds of reviews on their accounts, there's actually a lot more places than just Google that we can be. And we'll talk about that. So as we go through here, I want you to take note of all those things. And again, get a pen and paper or something to write with if you don't have it already, because you're going to want to note down. There's a lot of actionable items in here. This is not just the theory and ideas. This is, hey, actually, how do you execute this stuff as we go forward? So for those of you who don't know anything about me, again, my name is Bob McIntosh. I'm the co-founder of 3 Degrees Consulting. I've been in real estate since 2009. For anyone who's been through Fortune Builders, I actually helped create, along with one other person, all of the training that they use for online marketing. My dad and I have done, I don't know, hundreds of deals. I kind of lost count, to be honest, at some point in time. And in Buffalo, New York. But most importantly about me is because I lived 3,000 miles away from where we were doing all of our real estate, I had to get really good at something that I could be good at, which was internet marketing. So I got very, very good at that because it was something I could do from far away. And if we look at what my business was able to achieve, about 35 to 40% or so of all the deals I've ever done have come from internet marketing, whether it be local SEO, whether it be my website SEO, other things like that. And I would be willing to bet that there's not too many, if any, people out there, specifically in the real estate space, especially, that know as much about marketing for real estate investors online as I do. I also run a podcast called the Get Out of Your Own Way Now show, and am an Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can see a picture of me with my book there. In 2015, we launched, and the day it launched, we hit #1 on Amazon in 4 categories, and actually number 2 through 3 in about 15 or so other categories. So super excited to be here and teach you guys as we go along, but let's dive into it. So local SEO, what is this, right? When we talk about local SEO, we like to think that local SEO is super simple, right? We hop on Google, we set up a Google My Business page, and we're done. But the reality is that local SEO is far, far more complex than that. And specifically, let me show you how complex it actually is. This is the local SEO ecosystem. Now, if you're looking at that going, what in the heck is that, right? Like, right? It's pretty crazy when we think about it. So when we talk about local SEO, everyone thinks about the one piece, which is Google, but there's actually literally thousands of others. In fact, this infographic here doesn't even really cover all of it, but it covers the major players in this space. Now, one thing that I want you to notice about this is that there's a lot of data points connecting to 4 specific companies, and we'll talk about those here in a second. But the point of this is this: if you want to dominate local SEO, you literally have to be everywhere. This is a more complete listing of all the different places that your business can be listed. And if you're looking at this going, again, holy crap, that's okay. Right? There's lots of ways that we can handle this. There's lots of ways to get ourselves out there. And the other thing that I want you to understand about local SEO is that while the majority of it is going to be from My Google, not My Google anymore. Now it's called Google My Business, which we'll talk about in detail, there's actually all these other places. And the important thing to understand is that, like anything online, like any other capacity that we have, any other social network, any other platform that we can exist on, everyone has their primary platform, the platforms that they spend the most time on, the platforms that they want to be a part of. And so the important thing to understand is that it's not about what we want, it's about finding customers, finding people that want to buy a house, sell a house, or whatever business you're in that want to participate with us in that capacity. And if we understand that it's about them, now all of a sudden we understand that we need to be everywhere. We need to be in all the places, because even though I may never have heard of Hot Frog before, if I can find just one customer as a real estate investor from Hot Frog, well, that could be worth, as a wholesale deal, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 or more. As a rehab, 20, 30,000 to 60,000 or more. As a rental property, it could be generating $200 for me a month for the next 30 plus years, right? So understanding that it's not about us, it's about where our customers are and taking advantage of that. Now, the other thing to understand too is that on these other more smaller platforms that you may not have heard of before, guess what? If you haven't heard of it before, a lot of other people in the real estate space have probably not heard of it before, which means if you get yourself there, you have the advantage because nobody else is there doing it, but you are. So it's a great way for you to tackle this. Now, how do we make sure that we can be everywhere? Well, the simplest way is this. These are what we call the big 4. These 4 different places, and I want you to screenshot this or get your phone out. I'll leave it up for a second, take a picture or write them down. But Data Axle, Factual, Axiom, and Newstar. Okay. And you can just Google these, find them. They're very simple. I believe all of them just have their company name.com if I'm not mistaken. But these 4 right here control something to approximately about 95% permeation in the market. So what I mean is, if you go to these 4 websites and you place all of your information on these 4, they will automatically populate to about 95% of all of the data points and data aggregation services, which means places where I can go find local businesses, about 95% permeation of the market. So you don't have to go back here. You don't have to remember all of these and go, oh my God, Bob, how do I get myself on all of these? You really just need to be on these 4. And by being on these 4, all of those other ones go to these 4 to populate their fields automatically. Now, that is not to say that you can't go to each of these services and list yourself manually if you want to, but I prefer to do things a little bit easier. Look, I'm lazy. Right? I don't want to do more work than I absolutely have to get the maximum result. For any of you who have read Tim Ferriss's stuff, his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, and all of his other books are about how do you maximize results with minimum possible effort. This is how, right? These 4, again, get me 95% of the way. The other 5%, honestly, probably don't matter. That's why they're not utilizing these 4. Okay. So again, note these down, screenshot these if you haven't, and go from there. And, as we go through here and look at other things, and by the way, a question I will take, Blogorama on here, you'll notice this list. And by the way, screenshot this if you haven't as well. I know JJ is recording this. You can always come back and watch it at another point in time, but obviously it's going to take a little time for the recording to get out there. So I don't want you to be sitting around waiting for the recording when you can just take screenshots and get going now. Blogorama has an asterisk next to it because it is only if you have a blog. If you're not blogging, this is a pointless one to be on. So if you have an active blog, then it's a great one to be on. So one of the most important things that you can do if you're going to utilize those 4 services, though, is make sure that you have standardized your listing details. I cannot emphasize how critical this is. One of the worst things that you can do as a business owner is drop in and say, oh, Here we are, and I've got a different name, address, phone number, website, hours, or photos and videos across all my different listings. So I want you to take note of all of these things. These are the most important things from a detail standpoint that you need to have universal across every single platform. And what I mean by that is, obviously, if you're a real estate investor, don't put in a different name, right? One of the hacks that people try to do online is put keywords like "we buy houses" or "sell house fast" in your name. All that's going to do is create more confusion. It's actually going to ultimately hurt your listings more, because by having a singular point of name, address, phone, website, and all that across all these platforms, when Google and these other big search engines look at your data points, they see the same thing. It actually increases your credibility in their eyes, and therefore it is more likely for you to show up higher in the search engines for your business name, for your business address, your phone number, your website, for all these things. And that's what we're after. We're not trying to hack the system, because look, even if you can hack it for a little while, these places they hire some of the smartest people in the world to support their business. They will figure out what you're doing, and they will change the algorithm, and it will defeat the whole purpose of doing it. And in the meantime, you could have been building all this credibility over here, but now you have to start from scratch again, because in most cases, if they find out that you basically did what we call a black hat or even gray hat strategy to get yourself up there, they axe your listing permanently. And how do I know this? Because I have 11 blacklisted listings for my real estate business from trying to do this early in, like 2010, 11, when they were just coming out with this kind of stuff, right? They figured it out and they said, no, we don't want that. So don't try to play games with Google and Bing and Yahoo and all these other places. And Apple, for example. I want you to focus on what's going to work, and what's going to work is having standardized listing details everywhere you go. JJ was on earlier talking about Facebook and LinkedIn and a few other things. And he said, look, I use the same pictures across all my platforms. Same idea, right? If we have the same universal pieces of information, it also creates more credibility for us, because everywhere they go, they see the same details. There's no confusion. Confusion creates inaction when it comes to taking action online. So don't do that, okay? But with all of this, obviously those big four are important, but I want to focus a little bit more on Google My Business. This is still the most important by and far, right? But I want you guys to have and understand that there's a whole lot more out there than just Google My Business. But Google My Business is going to drive, in most cases, probably about 60% to as much as 80% of your business, depending on where you live in the States, and a few other factors from there, as well as a few other things. But here's the basics that you need to make sure you have. And even if you're like, hey, I've already done a Google My Business listing, walk through me with this and understand that there's some pieces that you may not have already on your business listing, that you may not have known existed, or that you did wrong. And I'm going to go through a couple of things that are going to help you track how effective your listing is going to be, even if you've already got one. Okay. So first and foremost, when you go to Google My Business, and by the way, Google My Business is totally free. It costs you literally nothing to sign up for this. So just Google search Google My Business. You have to have either a G Suite account, or what do they call it? No, not G Suite. It's Google Workspace is what it is now, or a Gmail account to utilize this. Just sign up for one, get one and do it. It's absolutely worth it. And then there's a bunch of tabs on the left-hand side. You want to make sure that you fill out every single one of those tabs. Go through each one, and any information that they ask for, put it in there, because the more information that you add to each of these, the better off your listing is, the more likely you are to bump to the top of the search rankings if someone searches on Google for something that relates to your business. It's also an opportunity for you to give all the information that you need about your business, such as your website, your phone number, where they can find you, your hours of operation, if that's important. Obviously, for some of us as real estate investors, it might be 24/7, but if you're a local business, you may only say, hey, we work from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or whatever it's going to be, right? And there's a lot of other pieces in here, such as your services. There's a place for you to add photos. I can't stress enough how important photos are. We'll come to that in a little bit, but go through every single tab and put in all the information it asks for. I promise you, it will only help to have more. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things right now that are what we call Google My Business or GMB bonus points. These are things that you can add to your profile if they're relevant. And this is an important piece. If they are relevant, if they are not, don't lie, because you will be found out, and it is terrible if you do. But these are bonus points that you can do that will actually promote your business even more for right now. I can't say that these will always be the case, but they are for right now things that will get you ranked higher if they are true for your business. So there are special attributes. First is if you are a Black-owned business. So if you are a African-American descent and you own the business as defined by at least 51% or more, then you can add this onto your profile. This is a huge one. I mean, this is not meant to be a political commentary or a racial commentary of any kind. This is simply the truth right now. These things get you boosted up. Whether it's fair or not doesn't matter. That's not the point of this conversation, but it is something that you can utilize if it's relevant to your business. If you are a woman-owned business, I see there's a lot of females on this call. Note that in here. Again, why? Because women-led businesses are getting more notoriety right now. You're getting a little extra bonus points. If you are LGBTQ plus friendly, note that in there, okay? Add that in there. Why? Look, even like as real estate investors, honestly, does it really matter? Like, sure, we are. Just put it on there if you are. If you're like, no, I don't like those people, then don't put it on there. But understand that this is a bonus that you get on your listing. Next is COVID protocols. If you follow any form of COVID protocols, add them on there. Again, not meant to be a commentary, but the more strict your protocols are, the better your ranking bonus points are. This is not to say, again, to lie about it, because if someone comes into your business or talks to you and you've said, hey, I do this, but actuality you're down here, or you have a big space. I don't want to say top or bottom. I should say left or right, right? Then you could create a negative experience, which is not something that you want to have online. But understand that having your protocols on there are good from that standpoint. And whether you have them or not, whether you follow protocols or you don't, if you're like, hey, I don't do COVID protocols, cool. Let people know that. Again, it just helps boost your rankings up there. Is your business accessible? Now, obviously for us as real estate investors, not all of us have offices that someone's actually physically coming to visit. So this may not be the most important, but it is something that you can add in there. If you have an office, that you work at that is accessible, that's always a good thing to add in there. Okay. Next is going to be product photos. And I say product, but it could be service as well, right? And then product catalog and videos. These three things are super important no matter what kind of business you run. Again, so a lot of us on here are service-based owners, and that's okay. So just talk about your service. So instead of putting a picture of, our product is, an ugly house or a pretty house, is us buying a house. It could be a picture of you. It could be, that's never a bad thing to have photos of you. Why? Because if I go to Google and I look up your business and I see a picture of you on the Google My Business listing, and then you're the one that shows up on my house, like that, I know all of a sudden, oh, I got the right person. You're that person. It creates that recognition, and that recognition can be important to building a bigger bridge to trust. Trust is needed before they're ever going to buy or sell anything from or to you. Okay. Now, if you, I put product catalog on here, again, not as real estate investors, not everyone's going to have this, but if you're running an e-commerce store, if you're running any sort of anything of that nature, or you offer services online, add your catalog in there. Add what you have. There's actually a product catalog feature. In fact, if you run an e-commerce store, you can even link it up to that. Why? Because that's a super important thing to let people know, here's what you do and how you do it. And last but not least is post videos. They don't have to be super hardcore crazy. Like, you don't need to go out and hire a $10,000 camera crew to shoot crazy videos. All right. Most of us have an iPhone or an Android phone that will shoot great video by itself. Just talk about who you are, what you do, who you help. Why should they trust you? Talk about the services that you offer. Talk about how you operate. Talk about what you're there to do. Talk about the things that make your business different or unique, right? So all of those things are super important to understand, because guess what? People will watch those videos. In fact, videos will get more watch time than your photos will, because obviously photos still, video, we've got information, there's details. So upload all of those to your Google My Business page. All of those will get you additional bonus points. And again, only if these things are, relevant to your business. Now, a couple of things about relevance, and especially these special attributes. By technical reasoning, you have to have 51% of any of these things be true for your business. So in other words, if I'm Black or women or whatever, I have to have 51%. Right? Now, is someone going to actually call you and check that? No. So if a business partner or a spouse is involved in the business, you sure add that on there. The likelihood of someone actually checking that is probably very, very low, but just understand that, hey, also at the same time, don't make it up, right? Like, for my real estate business with my dad, it's primarily my dad and myself. Well, guess what? We're both white. I'm not going to put black lead on my business, even if I have a team member who's black, because that's just going to create way too many questions. And look, the last thing you want is to create negative press for you and your business because you lied about something just to get some bonus points on Google. All right. So here are the key components broken down. There's going to be a lot of information here. I understand that. Don't worry. I'll lay this slide up when we get through all of it so that you can add all of this detail or take a screenshot or again, picture with your camera. But here's some ideas for videos that you can add. If you are the owner of the business, there should be a video of you welcoming them saying, hey, so happy you stopped by my Google My Business page. My name's Bob McIntosh. I run 3 Degrees Consulting. I'm here to get you results online with your business, generate more sales, more leads, more income, have a better return on ad spend. That's why I'm here, right? If you have products, physical products, show them, right? So for example, I might have a video. So I know Sonia's on here. She's a dentist, right? So I might have her, just to give you a different idea, right? Might have a video of walking through the office and showing the chairs and showing the office and showing the people. Why? Because that's the product you're offering them. Obviously, the product is, hey, this experience you're going to give somebody, right? You should have video testimonials from your customers. If you have any video testimonials, put them on your page. It goes to show your credibility and lets people trust who you are. Sorry, I forgot to update this slide. I did this for a local card game shop. So some of these don't necessarily make sense, but any viral social content, any events that you've done or you host or you go to. So I know JJ was just talking about, hey, there's an event in San Diego that a lot of you might be attending. Post a video of you at that event, getting, having networking, meeting, sharing a cocktail, learning, right? All of these things are important to show who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Okay. Next is photos. I recommend the following photos: street view and interior of your shop or office if you have one. Obviously, if you don't have one, skip these things, okay? There should always be a photo of every owner of the business by themselves and a photo of all of the owners together if there's more than one. There should be a photo of your entire team. That photo should always be relevant and up to date. If your team member is gone for maternity leave for the next year, well, guess what? Take down the photo with them in it and put a new one up. You can always add them back in later. If you let a team member go in and change the photo. This is important. You don't want to have old team members on your photo. Okay. Take a picture of your hours if they're relevant. If you have a physical business where you actually have like the little sign that says hours, take a picture of that and post it there. Why? Because even though your hours are listed on the actual listing, people still might look at it from there, from what it is. Okay. Show a picture of your team or you, if it's just you for right now, working with customers. So if you're out there talking to sellers, snap a photo with them, get a selfie. If you just help someone buy one of your beautiful rehabs, perfect. Get a picture with them holding the for sale, the sold sign and their new keys, right? These things show and build trust with your business, right? If you have products, show your products, okay? And next thing you notice here, it says high quality. What I mean by that is not necessarily that you need to go get a DSLR camera and shoot in crazy pixels, but make sure that the lighting is good. Make sure that the background makes sense. There's not, light beams coming in and blocking the photo. Make sure that, just make it look like a good photo, and it's going to give you a whole lot more credibility as you go along. Next is going to be reviews, okay? What's more important about reviews? Get reviews. And we'll talk about reviews here in a minute, but understand that having reviews is important. All of you on this call right now, most of you are real estate investors. Well, guess what? There's no reason that you can't be going back and forth, get each other's information. You all put your social media handles in the tag that the post that JJ put out there. Go in there and say, hey, I built my Google My Business profile. Would you go in and leave me some reviews? Having a bunch of 5-star reviews will be great. Even if they're not from people in your local market, it doesn't matter. Quantity is going to make the most difference when it comes to reviews for right now. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but for right now, you want to have a bunch of great reviews on there. Make sure you go out and get them and ask for them from other people, especially if you, for whatever reason, have a bunch of negative reviews right now. Getting a bunch more 5-star reviews from your friends will help boost you out there and help your business. Okay. And then the last thing here is bonus features. So on Google My Business, there are a handful of bonus features that you can add to your listing. I suggest you look at these things and figure out which ones of these make the most sense for me to add. So you can add a booking button. So if you book appointments, then this is a great button for you. If you're a real estate investor and you don't take appointments, I would definitely consider adding this if you don't already have it. Go to calendly.com. If someone can type that in there for me, I appreciate it. If you know, familiar with it, calendly.com. Sign up. You can get a free account, or I think the paid account's like $10 a month. Okay. And then add your calendar to Calendly. Thank you, Jeremy. And guess what? Now you have a booking button. So now if someone comes in and they want to book an appointment to come sell their house to you, they can do that. Now, obviously, there's ways within Calendly to set it up so that you're not going to like have an appointment booked and you have to be there in an hour when you're traveling, right? So understand those things, but utilize that, right? Make it as easy as possible for someone to book an appointment with you in any way possible. There's also a text message button. People don't want to call anymore, especially millennials and younger. We don't want to talk to you on the phone. And I get for a lot of real estate investors, because investing tends to skew towards more of the baby boomer side, especially in Fortune Builders and other platforms. Understand that it's not about you. You might go, I hate texting. Just call me. Pick up the phone and call me. Well, it's not about you. It's about your customers. If they would rather text you, give them the opportunity. Put in a phone number that they can text you at. It doesn't even have to be yours. Go buy a burner phone, all right? And just utilize that for texting. Go on to on Facebook, you can literally buy a used iPhone for like under a couple $100. Like usually for $100, you can buy a used iPhone, and literally that can be your texting phone. That's all it needs to be. You can use online platforms. Google Voice, for example, allows texting. Textmagic.com is a great platform that allows two-way texting that you can do through your business, right? There's lots of ways out there to make this work. Don't get hung up on the technology or the idea. Understand that customers want to communicate with you how they want to communicate with you. You need to create the space for them to do that. Okay. If you have offers, special offers, promos, especially right now, holiday time, right? Anything of that nature, add it on there. Obviously, we already talked about this, but your product catalog is great. There is a Google My Business app for your phone. I sincerely recommend that you download the app. It will notify you about things. It'll also allow you to do a lot of other things, connect to your accounts. Google, at least for right now, is unofficially giving bonus points to folks who are downloading their app. So your listing is more likely to show at the top of rankings, at least for right now, if you're using the Google My Business app on your phone in conjunction with your listing. Why? I think they just want more apps on your phone, more data points to collect. You know how Google operates. But that, and again, that may not always be the case, but it is right now. And then UTM Tracking Link. This is critical if you're going to take Google My Business seriously. So let's talk about the UTM Tracking Link in detail. And sorry, I'm going to leave this up here for a second. Grab a screenshot of this real quick, or take a picture with your phone. All of these are important things to implement into your business, Google My Business listing. Okay. So UTM Tracking Link. This is the UTM Tracking Link. I'm going to go one more here. Okay. On your URL, so you can add your website to your Google My Business listing. One of the things I highly recommend that you do is use what we call UTM. UTM, without getting into all the technical details, allows you to track specifically that people are clicking from your Google My Business listing and coming to your website. Now, this is only going to be relevant if you're also using Google Analytics on your website. If you're not, you should be. It's a free tool from Google that will track all kinds of data points about your visitors who come to your website, where they came from, country, state, city, zip code even. It will tell you how long they spent on your site, how many pages did they visit, what was the sequence of events that led them through your pages. If you have an e-commerce store, it will tell you when they add things to your cart or don't, all kinds of other great things. But you'll notice right here, this little text. Okay, so question mark UTM underscore source equals GMB, and UTM underscore medium equals organic, and UTM underscore content equals listing, and UTM underscore campaign equals local. This is a simple set of text. And what this will do is in your Google Analytics profile, it will now tell you that the source was Google My Business. The campaign medium was organically clicking, which means they went to Google My Business and they clicked organically. This was not a paid traffic piece. The content was your listing, so your actual My Business listing, not from someplace else. And I usually use campaign, which means local, because for me, local means, hey, I'm doing local search engine optimization. I want to understand that. So how does this work? You take that text right there and you add it to the end of your URL. So www.yoururl.com / and then all of that question mark, blah, 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 blah text. So you'll see on the right-hand side what that full links looks like. Again, it might look a little messy when you're editing your profile, but when someone comes to your Google My Business profile, they won't see all that extra text. All they'll see is a button that says website. They'll click that, and this tracking will automatically tell Google Analytics where it came from. So this will allow you in the future, if you take this seriously, to start understanding how many people are actually coming to my website from my Google My Business listing. And as time goes on, you're going to find if you do all the right things the right way that I'm teaching you right now, you're going to have a whole lot more success and a whole lot more people coming in here with that. Okay. All right. So how do I get reviews at hyperspace speed? I'm a giant nerd. For most of you who know me, you already know this, but I love things that reference nerdy stuff. So how do we get reviews even faster? Now, what I'm going to teach you right now, this is a methodology that I learned from another medical practice, actually, that allowed them to generate more reviews for their 4 office locations than any other medical practice in the entire state of New Jersey. So they have 40 doctors across 4 locations, and they now have more Google reviews than any other medical practice in the entire state of New Jersey, which is insane. Now, I've utilized this for several of my clients in 3 Degrees Consulting and many other places. I promise you, if you utilize this the right way, you will get more reviews than you ever thought possible, especially as you continue to grow. If you're brand new, obviously you're not going to be able to fully implement this, but it doesn't mean that you can't implement some piece of this moving forward. So the first is what we call the incentivizing review. Literally, you are going to buy Google My Business reviews with what we call the scratch off method. Okay. So here's how this works. You're going to create, you're going to go on to Amazon, and they make these little scratch off stickers that you can buy in bulk quantity. Okay. Literally just Google or Amazon search scratch off. So if you've ever used like a lottery ticket, that's what this is. It creates the thing that you can scratch off with a coin. What you're going to do is you're going to get these, and you're going to offer drawings and lotteries. And what I mean by that is you're going to say, hey, let's just say, for example, I'm going to go on to like Vistaprint. I'm going to get business cards printed, and on each business card, there's going to be a different prize. Okay. So I might get 50 with a $5 gift card to Starbucks, 50 with some free service at my business, if that makes sense. Right. It could be an Amazon gift card. It really doesn't matter what you put on the actual thing, right? And then, so you got this little business card with a prize on it. You put the sticker that you bought from Amazon over the prize. So now they have to scratch off the sticker to get the prize, right? So that's gamifying it. People love games, right? All this. Now, what do we do with these cards? Well, I give them to people only when they've left me a Google My Business review and will show me their 5-star review. And it's only for 5-star reviews. Now, obviously, if they had a crappy experience with your business, you're probably not going to get a 5-star review. But at the end of the day, this is how we start to get them, right? Gamify it. I even go so far as to have my entire team and employees, I offer them bonuses for getting reviews. So we can even gamify the employees. So think about it like a March Madness style, right? Like each week we go head to head, who can get more, who can ask for and get more reviews this week, right? And literally I will, if they're physically there with me, I'll say, hey, why don't you go onto Google right now and leave me a review? I'll show you how, right? Have them show them and walk through the process, have them write the review right there for you. So before they ever leave your office, your location, or you leave their house, if you're visiting their house as a real estate investor, guess what? You've now got a 5-star review. This is how you're going to get a whole lot more reviews a whole lot faster, because if you're asking for it right when they want it, right when they're doing your service or using your business, you're way more likely to get it. Okay. And again, I will even go so far as to offer my employees bonuses. So in the case of the client who did this in New Jersey, they offered their employees $1,000 bonus at the end of the quarter for whoever got the most reviews. Well, most of their team was highly incentivized to help get reviews because that $1,000 went a long way for them in their business. Okay. You can also do local round robin. And what I mean by this is go find your other businesses that are in your area and help them get reviews in exchange for you getting them reviews. So for example, if you're, so let's just say you're a real estate investor, right? Well, you probably know contractors, you probably know, and specifically subcontractors, you probably know real estate agents, you probably know, home cleaners, you probably know local lenders. There's all kinds of people that we make relationships with, all right? Help them get reviews for their business and tell them, hey, if you help me get reviews, I'll help you get reviews too, right? So go around and do that because it only helps your business do this, all right? Next is you have to provide clear instructions, and I even recommend helping people do it, like I already said. You don't want to leave it to them to do it later on because maybe they do, maybe they don't, they get distracted, maybe they don't know how to use it, whatever it could be, especially if you're dealing with people who are, not tech savvy. They may know, I don't know how to do that. Well, let me help you. Let me show you how to do it right now. And then you can even go so far as creating a link on your website. So in the menu of your website, if you have a Google My Business listing, you can say, leave us a review, and it will literally click a link and take them right to the place on Google to leave a review. Literally will open up and say, hey, leave a review for this company right here. So you can make it as easy as possible for them to actually do that for you later on, so they don't have to understand where to go and how to do that. Okay. Next, you should have someone on your team, or if it's you, if you're the only person, outbound call or text your customers after they've had a service with you, all right, or worked with you in whatever capacity it is. Say, hey, how did it go? Did you enjoy your time? Were we able to help you accomplish whatever you wanted to help accomplish? Great. Would you consider leaving a 5-star review on my Google page? Right? Oh, you would? Great. So if you go right now to, go3dc.com, you'll see in the menu, leave a review, click that. It'll open up and it'll let you leave a review just like that. You're getting reviews easier. Okay. And then I even do, this is especially good for local businesses. If you have like an actual physical shop, hey, you just finished a service. If you leave a 5-star review, you can spin the prize wheel and win, right? And it could be a percentage off your next service. It could be a free service. It could be, it could be whatever you want. It could be a gift card to another local business. By the way, I don't always do Amazon and Starbucks gift cards. A lot of times I'll do gift cards to other local businesses that I've been doing the local round robin with. Because guess what? If they're giving me reviews and I'm helping them get reviews, if I give someone a gift card to their business, A, I'm helping their business. B, when that customer goes in, they leave them a review, then you're going to know, oh, it came from Bob's business. It just helps build the reciprocity between you and your business in your local area. Okay. And then last but not least is ask on social media and include it in your signature. Ask on social media for reviews and include a link in your email that says, leave us a 5-star review. Why not? And literally it can be the same link that goes to Google My Business from right there, because then they're like, oh, every time I see your email, I'm thinking about, oh, I should be leaving a review for your business. So why not ask them to do that right there? Again, make it as easy as possible for someone to leave a review, and they will not disappoint you by leaving it for you. Now, the first thing I usually get is, okay, Bob, I do all this. What happens if I get negative reviews? Okay. You're going to get a negative review at some point in time. No matter how good you do, no matter how good your service, no matter how phenomenal you are, someone will be coming in that had a bad day. Their wife told them they're getting divorced today in the middle of working with your business, and they're pissed and they don't like you, and you said the wrong thing, and now they're going to leave you a bad review. It will happen. Whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. So here's how we handle it. First and foremost, you always should respond to every negative review. Always, every single one. I actually recommend responding to every single review because it lets people know that they're seen and appreciated, even if it's a 5-star review. But always respond at least to the negative reviews. You should always take the high road, even if you know that like they're full of shit, right? Like their review is totally full of shit. They're lying. Nothing that they said is true. Now, within reason, right? Like, like if they're coming in saying a bunch of like explicitives or, racial slurs or something of that nature, then, no, we're not going to play that game. But look, just take the high road. You don't have to, even if they're totally lying, say, hey, I'm so sorry you had a bad experience with our business, blah, 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 blah. I always offer to make it right, no matter what. Even if I know that they're 100% wrong, offer to make it right. Because here's the thing. If someone comes onto your page, they leave you a 1-star review and they completely lie about it, they're never going to take you up on your offer to make it right. But every person who sees your reviews and looks at your 1-star reviews will see the response of you offering to make it right for them. And that will carry more weight than the 1-star review. Because it's like, oh, even if they did fuck up, they're trying to make it right for them. And that carries more weight. Okay. Remember, not everything can be a 5 stars, and actually having a few negative reviews on your page and you responding to them actually carries more weight because it's more believable, right? If I go to a business and I only see 5-star reviews and nothing else, I start to question it, right? Like, okay, really? No one's ever had a bad experience at your business, literally ever, right? And I'm not saying you should go get negative reviews on purpose, but if you get some, it's okay. Leave them on there. It helps create more character for who you are in your business. Now, if you start getting a whole bunch of negative reviews, take a look at them and see what they're saying, right? Like, so for example, today, I was looking at a restaurant that we were going to go eat at, and all of the negative reviews on their page, all of them said the same basic thing, which was service was rude and they were mean, right? It was those two things. Almost every single review was the same thing. Now, they had like 500 reviews, and there was only like, I think 20 or so 1-star reviews, but all 20 said the same exact, either they were mean or they were rude. Well, that's something that I, as a business owner, should look at and say, this is interesting. I'm getting the same comments from everybody. Maybe I need to talk to my staff about how they can be less rude, less mean, right? If I see one person saying it, maybe it's, could just them having a bad day. But if I see 20 people saying it, well, maybe I need to have a sit down with my staff and say, why is this happening? What's going on here? Where are we going from here? Okay. So that's how we can handle negative reviews. The next thing I want to get to real quick here is this. When it comes to your Google My Business listing, Google My Business is great and it can drive traffic to you, but your website still matters a lot. It still makes a huge difference. Okay. If your listing is phenomenal and you do all the things that I talked about, all the details that I talked about, and then you get to your website and your website still sucks, guess what? All the credibility you built, gone. So you've got to have a great website. What I mean by great website, mobile-friendly content, great content, has location-based pages if you're a real estate investor, has a modern design, easy navigation, has backlinks, which again, you can get in a lot of ways, and then is optimized for the keywords that make the most sense, right? Why? Because these things make the difference to the end user when they come to your site. And if they have a bad experience on your site, they're going to make an assumption about your business, that your business is no good either. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. The assumption is there. The presumption is that if your website sucks, your business sucks. Okay. So make sure it doesn't. Content is still king. And so what do I mean by this? You need to have great content that clearly communicates who you are, what you do, how you help them, and where you are. Okay. What you don't want to find out is that you went out and you found a great audience on your Google My Business page. You created content you thought was great. You thought the angle was great. And then you found out that you started doing outreach to people to get links and do follow-up, and people started coming to your site, but you found out that no one actually cares about your content at that point where that arrow is, right? So when we're talking about creating content, I want you to stop for a second and say, well, there's content that I want, and there's content that my audience wants. I need more of the content that my audience wants, even if it's not what I want. Now, in the best case scenario, I merge two together, or I put a spin on the content my audience wants to help them understand how it's what I want them, right? We always hear the terminology. You're going to sell someone what they want, but deliver what they need. Your content should be the same thing. The title is going to sell them on what they want to accomplish, but the content is what they need. So this presentation, for example, I told you how to dominate local SEO. Well, one part of that is having a great website. So even though you might have thought that local SEO was just my Google My Business listing, you may not have even known that you needed to go to those big four. You may not have needed to know that you need to put photos and videos. You may not have needed to know that you needed a great website to complement your My Listing, right? That's what you need, not necessarily what you wanted. What you wanted was how do you dominate local SEO? So I'm just giving this in context to understand that literally what I did for this presentation is what you should do on your content, your website, your My Business listing, all of that. Everything is marketing, everyone. Everything is marketing. The better that you get at marketing, the more lifeblood your business will have, i.e. customers, i.e. dollars. Because no matter how good we are, what we do, no matter how much we network, no matter how much we talk to people, if our business isn't making money, we will not have a business for very long. Because at the end of the day, this stuff matters to us continuing to do what we do. Okay. So with that, everyone, again, my name is Bob McIntosh. If you have any questions about SEO, I think I saw a couple of questions I may not have gotten to, so I'm going to scroll back through, drop them in here. You can follow me at the Bob McIntosh. My email address is bob@go3dc.com. My website is go3dc.com for any information around SEO. If you need a website, you need a better website. And by the way, everyone, this stuff, if you do all this stuff the right way, everything that I just taught you, aside from the actual creation of photos and videos, you should have less than 4 to 5 hours of time into creating everything that I just taught you and being on there.
Bob, that was fantastic, brother. As usual, gold nuggets flying all over the place. We had some great questions in there. I know people are going to follow up with you. If you want to follow up with Bob, he had his contact information posted earlier, so please feel free to reach out to him. If you're still on the call, live time with us right now, we'll go over more of the how to contact Bob in the Q&A. And Bob's video should be out shortly on Flipside with JJ. So look for that, like Bob's video, and follow Bob McIntosh. Everybody else, we'll see you next week.